let me tell you a story about how I accidentally learned how to code. Back in the day when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with a career, I always knew that I wanted to do something on the internet, but I looked into programming and code and it just looked absolutely terrifying and like it was so hard to learn. So I very quickly decided, no, I want to get into something that I can quickly jump into and start making money right off the bat, which to me did not seem like development. So at the start, I did a whole bunch of different things, right? But one of the things that I was doing was making clients' websites using, pretty much any tool that they wanted me to use, so long as I didn't need to code. So I was using Wix, I was using Squarespace, I was using WordPress, I was using anything. I don't even remember the names of half of them. And that was how I started, just building simple sites for clients where I didn't need to learn how to code. But fast forward to today, I am able to write HTML and CSS with my eyes closed, and I'm also able to write a ton of JavaScript. Plus, with the help of AI, I am able to code virtually anything that I want in a way that is actually reliable. So how is it possible that I learned how to code when I never actually learned how to code? Well, I'm gonna walk you through, in a nutshell, my journey from start to finish. Like I said, I started out building sites with just absolutely anything, but I had a bit of an issue. I took my work very seriously and I wanted to make sure I delivered the best work possible for my clients. But some of the tools that I was using just didn't cut it. So I would be looking at the finished site, it's not what I want it to be, but I don't know how I can make it what I want it to be. When you're using certain things like Wix and Squarespace, especially back in the day, you really didn't have a lot of options when it came to customization. So then, while I'm making sites for these clients, I had a friend who ended up telling me about Webflow. I go, hey, what's Webflow? He says, Webflow is a way that you can build fully custom websites without code. Obviously, I heard that and I thought that was absolutely amazing. Please tell me more. So I started using Webflow, and here's the thing. Webflow is confusing. Not as confusing as code, but if you're just jumping straight into Webflow from something like Wix or Squarespace, you're gonna feel a little bit lost. That being said, Webflow has an amazing template library, and they have the Webflow Showcase, which is now called Made in Webflow, which allowed me to copy other people's work who were better than me at it and actually launch a good, productive site very, very quickly. And then after that, I was able to kind of figure out how to make the changes that I wanted to make. But thanks to the pre-built stuff from the Webflow community, it was so easy for me to start actually building custom websites. So anyways, I became a full-on Webflow developer. It was pretty much all that I did for years. Through in, throughout, I love, and I still do love, Webflow. But anyone who becomes a very, very exceptional Webflow developer will run into limitations with the platform itself. Even though you can build custom websites with Webflow, there are certain things that you either can't or just shouldn't do with native Webflow tools, and instead it's better to use custom code. But like I said, I didn't actually know how to code. So what did I do? I searched the internet looking for other people's code snippets and just out of pure necessity adapted them to my project, which at the start was about as hard as you would imagine it is. I'm looking at all of these characters, I don't know what they mean, and I'm just slapping them in my site and hoping they work. But as time went on and I did this more and more and more, I started to kind of understand what this code was. Could I write it? Hell no. But I started to actually understand what the code is doing. So like I said, I started to understand how the code functions, and what I mean by that is very, very simple. First things first, I started to understand that HTML is just a list of elements that you put within brackets. I started to understand that CSS is how you style these HTML elements by applying rules or classes to them. I started to understand that JavaScript is, well, for the most part, just identifying HTML elements with variables and then doing something with them, some form of calculation or whatever with functions. That's very, very simple, Just knowing that doesn't mean that you know how to code. But then something huge happened. A few years ago, AI started to really pick up speed. And with that, people started talking about how you can code with AI. But it's not quite as easy as it seems. If you have no idea how to code and you started trying to code with AI, you may have already run into some issues where you build something, while AI builds something, and you don't even know how it functions. Now think back to what I was telling you about with my years spent as a Webflow developer and just working with other people's code. Am I that great at, let's say, writing JavaScript? Absolutely not, but I do understand how it functions. So once AI came around, I was able to actually correctly tell it what to do, where to do it, how to do it, and I was able to understand my own code base, which meant me plus AI is an excellent match. Now, I'm not just saying I can code with AI. Like I said at the start of this video, I can write a lot of code on my own, but the introduction of AI gave me a confidence boost. I had certainly imposter syndrome as a developer. I thought I couldn't develop anything. I have no idea how code works, but AI started to show me that I actually do understand code. It's not as complicated as it seems. I'm just not very good at syntax, but again, AI solves that problem for me. So why can a total beginner not code with AI, but I can? Is it because I'm, smarter than them? Absolutely not. It's because over my years as a Webflow developer, I gained knowledge in my head about code that I didn't even know that I had. So the confidence boost that the introduction of AI gave me didn't only allow me to code with AI, but it proved to me that I do know how code works. And when I started to try to write my own code from scratch, I realized I actually know how to do this. I had some syntax headaches at the start. Why isn't this working? There's a colon instead of a semicolon and all that stuff. But I realized, wow, I actually know how to code now. And that right there is how I accidentally learned how to code without ever taking a single course, without ever watching a YouTube video on how to code. I just simply picked up this knowledge while earning money with no-code tools through clients. See you in the next one.